Hello everyone, I welcome you again in my lecture. So today we are going to talk about space complexity. We will see that how to analyze space complexity for any given algorithm and what actually the meaning of space complexity is. We have already discussed in our previous lectures what is running time of any algorithm. We have already discussed in detail how to find the running time of any iterative algorithm and how to find the running time of any recursive algorithm. So let's start. So let us first understand what is the significance of the space complexity. Whenever we talk about analysis, we are always concerned about identifying the two parameters of algorithm. One is what is the running time, how much time it will take to execute, and the secondary part is how much memory will be required to run the algorithm. And the second is the memory aspects, where we are interested to know that how much memory is required to run the algorithm. So when I say space complexity, actually we are trying to find out how much extra memory cells will be required to run the algorithm. One thing to keep in mind that we do not consider the space required for the actual input that we are passing to the uh, to the to the program. So the significance of the space complexity is we are interested to find out what is the impact of the input, that is how much extra memory space will be required in order to get our job done. What does it mean? It means when we provide an input, then do we need a constant space, or if we provide an input of size n, do we need n extra cells, or if we need extra cells, then what is the proportion of the memory requirement? That is the basic objective of finding the space complexity. So when we find the space complexity, keep in mind we are trying to find out what is the extra space required to run the algorithm. So whenever we write algorithm, we express our algorithm either in the iterative way, and or you can write in a recursive way. Already we have discussed in detail that how to find the running time of iterative algorithms and the recursive algorithm. This lecture is basically to focus on the space requirement. So we will see the scenarios when the algorithms are expressed using iterative approach and then recursive approach, then what is the space requirement. So let us take some examples. Here we have three examples which is shown in the iterative approach. So here, let's say this is the first example. We have one function test which takes two parameters. One is the array and the other parameter defines the size of the array. So here, when you pass this input, this array, then we need to identify that what is the extra space required to get this task done. So if you look inside this loop, we are declaring two variables I and j. That means we need two extra space, means we need to have extra space to accommodate I and j. Now what we are doing inside this, we are having one loop I equals to 1 to n, and in this we are assigning the value 0 to the index of ai. Now one thing to keep in mind, that when we compute the extra space requirement, we do not consider the size of A, which is the size of input. So here we need extra two memory cells, or you can say here we need two two extra memory cells to get our task done, and 2 means this is a constant requirement. So here the running time is big O of 1, because it represents the constant uh, memory requirement. So the space requirement is big O of 1. Now let us see what is the space requirement in this case. Here again the scenario is same. We have two parameters for this function. One is the array and the size is n. We are passing the size. Now here I declared some internal parameters to make some logic. We have I, j, and then also I declared an array of size n. So we need, let's say we need one memory cell for I, one for j, that means 2, and then we need some n memory cells for accessing this array. Here we are having one loop, and then what we are doing, we are simply passing the value of value of a of I into b of I. So this is something we make a program to copy the values of one array to other array. Now here you can see we require these many memory cells. Now when we talk about 2 plus n, this is nothing but it is an expression which is represented in terms of n. So here the space complexity is big O of n because we need n plus 2 memory cells, which is nothing but big O of n. Now look at this, we have a third uh, scenario, which is again an iterative scenario which performs some task which is expressed. We are passing two parameters, an array and a size of array, but inside we have declared some variable. Now we need to provide an extra space to accommodate these variable. This may be declared for fulfilling some requirement of this logic. So we have declared I, j, and then we have declared array of two dimension of n cross n. Then there is two loops we have used, and then we are doing some logic here. We are assigning the value of ai to b of ij. So here our main concern is to identify what is the space we are using to get our tasks done. So to get this logic done, we need to declare a space for I, j, and then we also have to declare the space for this array b, which is initialized inside this body. So here we need actually 2 plus n square, that is nothing but it is big O of n square. So when we talk about the memory requirement or the space complexity, we don't consider the size of input because we cannot reduce the size of the input. We definitely need to provide this space um, to 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 accommodate this input, but we are actually looking for that in order to run our task, what extra memory cell will be required. So this is big O of 1, big O of n, and big O of n square. Now let's move to the recursive approach. Here in the iterative approach, we have seen it's a straightforward. We simply see how many variables actually we have used to get our work done, and we simply just add all these memory spaces, and that gives you the space complexity. But in the recursive approach, it is not straightforward. So we need to check that how we can find the space requirement in case of the recursive based algorithm. Let's see. So we have this one code is written here. This is a pseudo code, or you can say it's a kind of some logic is represented here, where we are doing some task. This is a recursive because we are having a function demo which calls demo itself. Now this is a recursive which is using a subtractive approach. We have already discussed that when we talk of recursive is implemented using by implemented using a division approach or a subtraction approach, where the function is being called with the values either divided or by subtracted. So here we are reducing the value by -1. So if you look to the scenario, what is happening here? It says when n is more than 1, then you have to keep on reducing the value of n and make a recursive call. Now let's try to understand that how the things will work when we make this call. So let's say I am going to call demo3. If you want to find out the running time of these recursive algorithm, we have back substitution method, we have a recursive tree method, we have master theorem. Recursive tree method is one of the very fast method to find out the or to do the analysis of any given algorithm. So let's say we are using our recursive tree method, and we'll see that how we are going to implement it. If I make a tree for that, then what you will find that let's say I'm going to call uh, this function with n equals to 3. So let's say I am going to make a call demo3. So how it is going to work? In return, it will check that if n is more than 1, definitely 3 is more than 1, so we are going to enter in this if condition, and inside this condition it is going to recursively call demo2, and the second statement, it is going to print the value which is used for calling this function. So here we are printing this free. Then Demo2 is a this demo function will be called again recursively with demo1, and here you are going to print 2. Now again, when this call is made, it is going to make it demo 0, because when demo 1 means you are here and it says when n is more than equals to 1, the condition is true, it will go inside the body, and here you are reducing the value by 1. So now it is demo 0, and then here you are printing 1. The next time when you are calling demo with value 0, this condition is getting false and you will be going to terminate. So here this condition is acting as an exit point. It will guide where to exit the this recursive calls. Now here you can see that in order to run this function with the value 3, we have made how many calls? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 calls have been made to run this call with value number 3. Now how it actually works? It actually works when the demo 3 is being called, then it is calling demo 2, demo 2 in return calling demo 1, and demo 1 in return calling demo 0. Now these calls are made by using a stack. So whenever you are implementing a recursive program, we are making use of the stacks. So let us see that how the stacks are working here. This is how we are representing the stack. Stack is something which is working on the last and first out principle. So when this is called, so I am writing here D3. Whenever any function is getting called, and when it makes an inner call, then it is being pushed. So here when you call a demo 3, demo 3 is going to be pushed here, and because it is going to make a call of demo 2, so you are going to write here demo 2. Then demo 2 is going to call demo 1, so demo 1 being called here, and then demo 1 is calling demo 0. So whenever a function call is made, you are going to apply a push operation, and whenever this function is going to execute or it is going to exit, you will apply the pop operation. So when you call a demo 0, demo 0 further is not going to make any recursive call, so it is going to apply the pop operation. So this is going to be out, and then what it will do, it will go to here. So normally how it works, in order to trace this representation, you have to keep on moving down from left, and then you have to move right. So we keep on moving down for every recursive call, and when this and when we are going to exit, it appears here, and whenever it exits, it makes a pop. So now this cell is now empty. It goes here, this is just a print statement, and now this is complete. This call is being executed completely, and you move to the demo 1. Now whenever you are exiting from any call, then it will call a pop operation. It will perform a pop operation. So now demo 1 is going to exit, you will apply a pop operation, and this cell is going to be free. Then it will go here, this is just a value 2, and now this entire is executed, and you are going to exit from demo 2. So whenever you are going to exit, you make a call of pop. You need to perform a pop operation, so this will be going to pop here, and then you go here, it's just a value 3, and when you are going back, that means you are exiting from this demo 3, that means you have to perform a pop operation, and this is done. Now all your calls have been made, and you get the final answer. Now what we observed here is, what is the purpose of doing all this thing is, we need to identify what is the size of the stack. So the purpose of here is to demonstrate what is the size of the stack, because to find out the space requirement of any recursive program, you need to find out the size of the stack. So in this case, our size of stack is 4. So here we have actually noticed, if you try it for input 2 or input 5 or input 7. So you will observe whatever the size you are passing, you need the stack size one more than the input size. What does it mean? It means if I am calling demo n, then I am going to need stack of size n plus 1, and the stack size will give me my memory requirement, that is the space complexity. So here I can say, because I need for the size of n input, I need n plus 1 size stack. That means my requirement is big O of n. This is the space complexity. Okay, let us take another scenario. This is again our recursive approach, where we have a function demo where we are passing one input, one integer value, where n is more than 1, then this is the logic of the recursive algorithm. Now let us see that how it will work, how the function being called when we provide some input. Let's say our n is 2. So if I call a function with demo2, what it is going to do? It is going to do like this. It will call demo1 and it will print the value 2 and will be calling demo1. This demo1 is again recursively calling a demo0, because the condition here says if n is more than or equals to 1. So this is 1. That means condition is true. It will go inside the body and will execute whatever the logic is given here. We will call demo0 and print 1 and call demo0. Similarly, this is again going to call in the same way demo0, print 1 and demo0. And now onwards you are not going to make an further recursive call, because this is an exit point. Here you can see that for n is more than or equal to 1 only, you have to keep on making this kind of recursive call. Now how many calls we have made so far? So you can see we have made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 calls we have made. So when your input size, that is n, is 2, then number of calls you have made is 7. When your input size, let's say if I am passing n equals to 1, in that case how many calls you are going to make? Now if you are making a call with input size 1, then either you can count from this side or this side. Okay, in that case this will not be executed if I am going with the inputs equals to 1. In that case 1, 2, 3, I have made 3 calls. Similarly, if you find out with the larger value, let's say n equals to 3, you will find that the call made is 15. And with this we have to find out the pattern, what pattern we are getting, and this is nothing but this is 2 power 2 plus 1 minus 1. This is 8 minus 1, 7. This is 4 minus 1, 3. That is 2 power 1 plus 1 minus 1. And this is what? This is 3. So we have to say 2, 3 plus 1 minus 1. That is 2 power 4 minus 1. That means if we have an input size n, then we will get 2 power n plus 1 minus 1. That means how many calls we are going to make? The total calls will be 2 power n plus 1 minus 1, which is of order 2 power n. That means if we are interested to find the running time of this algorithm, then it is actually 2 power n. Now here our main focus is to find out the space requirement. So this is not the space requirement, this is a running time. So if you apply the master theorem, if you apply the recursive tree method, if you apply the back substitution method to find out the running time, you will realize that the running time is 2 power n, which is exponential, which is very high. Now we will see that what is the space requirement. Now space requirement is not 2 power n, but it can be determined by using the stack. So we are not using these many cells. Let us check that how many cells will be required, because in the recursive approach we need to find out the size of the stack, and the size of the stack will be the space requirement or the space complexity. So let's see how it works. This is our stack. So when you make a call, this demo2, so whenever you make a call you need to push into the stack, and if it is going to exit you need to make a pop, but this is not meeting the exit condition, so you need to keep a push, and then what you will do, it will further call demo1, so again you have to push d1, and again it is not an exit condition means satisfying, so you need to again make a recursive call and you need to push demo0. Now when you make a call for demo0, here your exit condition meets and you will be going to exit. So when you make an exit you need to make a pop operation. So when you pop operation, this cell is going to be free. What does it mean? It means this cell is free. Now if further push is made, this cell is going to be occupied, not this cell. So when I making this, then this means it's a pop operation and this cell is now free. So we already seen that how it works. It goes from top to bottom from the left side, and then when it is going to exit it go here. So you get this value 1 here, and then it go here. Now you are calling, so this is the first time you have seen this function, so you need to push this. So again this is already getting emptied. Now again you are going to push d of 0, and when you make a call for this you will find that it will meet the exit condition, so you will again pop it, and now this entire part is getting executed, and now you are exiting from demo1. So when you are exiting from demo1 you need to pop this, so you are popping this. That means when I say popping, this means now these two cells are empty. This is empty, empty, only this is occupied. That means at this point of time if you are going to make any push operation, you are going to make a push here. Okay, so d1 is getting empty. Now you get this 2, and now when you move here, so what you find, you will find that demo1 is being called. So again you are going to push d1 here. So it was empty, now again you are pushing d1, and then you will move further and you will find demo0, so you will push d0 here. Now when you push it here you will make a call, but then you realize that this is the exit condition is met here, so you make a pop, it will be getting freed, and then you get 1, and then you are reaching here. This is demo0. Again you make a push demo0, d of 0, and then it met a condition, you are making a pop, so it will be empty. So in the same stack the same locations are being used multiple times. That's why we are not reaching to this, this much value 2 power n. So when this is completely executed, you will are going to exit from demo1. This is going to apply pop, and this will be going to vacate here. Now this is going to execute completely, you are going back and it will be pop this, and then stack becomes empty. So what you have seen, we have seen that only 3 cells have been occupied, 1 2 3, and the size of the stack will tell us the memory requirement. So when you make a call with value 2, here we have utilized 3 stacks. So here you can say if we make a call with size n, then we need a stack of size n plus 1, and n plus 1 in terms of asymptotic notations we can say this is nothing but this is big O of n. That means we need n, big O of n extra cells will be required, and that determines the space complexity. Okay, so here you can also observe that the recursive approach is very costly. Like it gives you 2 power n, which is exponential. So recursive approach is actually very costly for a larger size problem. So we will see in the later lectures that how the recursive approach can be made smarter with the concept of dynamic programming. So this is all for this lecture. We have understood that how to find the space complexity of the iterative programs and the space complexity of the recursive program. So see you in the next video. That is all for this lecture. Bye for now. Take care.